Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is One Day Today. We are on episode 82, and I'm really excited about our guest today. But first, just let me begin by sharing, how do we, in this new state of the world, how do we, with all the suffering and the chaos going on, like, how do we find our own power? How do we stand tall when it feels like the world is falling down? And, from my own experience, my struggles, my trials, and my identity and growing up, I discovered, at first when I was just suffering in my own story about, the story since I've been young is I'm not enough. I don't belong. Being a quarter black, half Jewish Italian kid, and just I felt different, and I didn't feel like I fit in, and I found evidence my whole life. I collected evidence to prove that story right, and I was just a victim to my reality and to my experience. And in my experience, I discovered the very things that were holding me back, the very things I was afraid of, and that made me feel powerless, were actually the access for me to find my own power, to be able to use what I've experienced to empower others, to give others access to that they can be courageous, they can overcome it, no matter what you're going through, no matter what the lonesome valley that you're in. I'm standing for you, that there's something to be opened up and discovered in your trials, in your tribulations. And humanity is like diamonds and pearls. It's in our under pressure that our beauty is able to truly shine. And it's this stage, and the reason we hold this stage is really a testament to that, because no matter where you're from, or what color or creed you are, or who you pray to or don't pray to, you and your unique experiences are so unique and has something to benefit us all. And it's really, that's what's so powerful, is everybody has something that they face in their lives that, once they really see the choice that we all have to overcome it, that's where we have an opportunity to contribute to others and to serve others and to give others the courage to do the same. Because we've all experienced things where we felt lost or alone or stuck, and this is a stage and a space for you to be you and to share the gift that you are. And I'm just so thrilled that we're already 82 episodes in, and we're going strong. There's just so many amazing people in this world, and we are what we focus on. Even in the midst of pandemic and the political polarity and the civil unrest of the last year and a half, there's an opportunity. In a way I see, there's never been a bigger opportunity for connection, for collaboration, for community. And it's really like, that's why we hold this space, is because you and your story and what you've gone through and what you've overcome is a testament that makes us all stronger. And it's really, what's beautiful is we all rise together when we can experience our true self and really hold the space for the divine expression of the universe in ourselves, but also our neighbor. And that's really why we hold this space so sacred. And I'm really, really excited about our guest. I'm going to introduce him right now. Please welcome Jeremy Sigal.
Hey guys.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, Abram. You ready for me?
I'm ready. Jeremy, the stage is yours.
Awesome. Well, first off, Abram, I just want to throw out some things you said were just absolutely fucking beautiful. Like the two things that you were just talking about really hit home to me. The first one was like thriving under pressure, and the second one was like growing with community. If you can nail these two things, you will go to the top every single time. I'm so grateful that you asked me to speak and kind of just gave me that outline, because that's the one thing that I fucking teach. That's the one thing I live by. That's the only thing I do right in life. It's the one reason why I'm successful. And let me just read you just the dedication of this first book. So this is my book, Prison to Penthouse. It's all about how an outsider can show up to a brand new arena and rise to the top every time. So anyways, I'll start with this quick dedication because I think it really hits home. It says, "This book is dedicated to those who constantly force me to fight. Your endless attacks have literally gift wrapped my every ounce of success And I look forward to serving your lemonade for profit every single fucking day. I make diamonds under pressure. Your weakness is my strength. Thank you. May I have another? So my story is one of thriving from the absolute bottom to the absolute top of so many different arenas. And, I could have spent all this time pointing fingers and saying you this and them that. But check this out. When you point the finger, you have 3 more pointing back at yourself. So the one thing that I'm really, really, really good at, when everything seems lost or when I have my greatest challenges, I go inward. I only focus on things that I can build and grow. I don't worry about anything else because it doesn't fucking matter. So I'll kind of tell you some of the things I've gone through to get to this point where now I don't even see options for failure. I just see try harder and what I have to do to keep moving forward. So one of the things that happened to me when I was a child, I was 12 years old, and I had 3 really great ideas for Halloween night. So it's Halloween, and great idea number 1, wear rollerblades, because I wear rollerblades, I'm going to get more candy. Idea number 2, bring a pillowcase. Rollerblades, pillowcase, more candy. Idea number 3, wear army camouflage. That idea actually sucked because I got hit by a car at 50 miles an hour when I was a kid. I almost died, So I went from being on the Junior Olympic soccer team, super athletic, to being paralyzed in a wheelchair for a year. And it really changed everything because now I was dependent on people. I grew up with 4 brothers, so 5 brothers total. And, I would say that luckily for me, being part of a community constantly kind of just gave me ideas on what I wanted out of life. I always wanted to be a part of things, And so because I wanted it, and I may not have always had the ability to get there, I just had to figure out ways I could kind of connect and things I needed to do. So I'm in this wheelchair, and, I just kind of had to relearn how to live life dependent on people. So that was a big thing where I had to thrive through a difficult opportunity, but I had tunnel vision. Every single time I encounter things I can't do or the challenges in life, I tunnel vision, and I only see the things I can do to start growing. So you fast forward into my college years, and because of that car accident, I got a settlement, right? It was $100,000 that I couldn't touch till I was 18. So now I'm 18. I moved to Las Vegas from California to go to college, and I'm starting to get these annual checks in, right? And now I'm away from my family. So I'm starting to use drugs, and I'm kind of already addicted to pain medication from the car accident. So I started to get into a lot of freaking trouble at a young age where I ended up paying a heavy price for that. First off, I got kicked out of college because I was kind of I was kind of out there. I was kind of doing the most, and I got kicked out of college. So now I'm not in college, but I'm a hustler. I'm always making money. And so I started working for lawyers. And I noticed in Las Vegas, it's like the car accident capital of the world. So I don't have a college diploma. I only have a high school diploma. I haven't really done much in my life, but I know I can make a difference in these lawyers' businesses by kind of building systems and keeping them structured. So I start managing law groups, and I start making more money. And keep in mind, I only have a high school diploma. I'm a drug addict at this time. And I'm in my 20s, really making good cash. And so I had bought a Dodge Viper cash. So now I'm driving nice cars. I'm addicted to drugs. I'm making all this money, just a high school diploma. I got a fuck you attitude. And I started giving that to the police. So I started getting a lot of attention from cops to the point where I knew they were harassing me. I knew what they were doing wasn't always right. And I started to get PTSD and anxiety to where I didn't want to stop anymore. So I started racking up reckless driving, running from police. And then my record, when they would stop me in the future, even if I wasn't doing much, they would look at the record and they would just try to find something to screw me on. Long story short, I never even been in a car accident. I've never injured anybody. I got an 18-year prison sentence. 18 fucking years. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't even supposed to go to jail, right? I kept just pleading guilty because I had money and shit. I had a job. I didn't care about my record. So DUI, guilty, just let me go home. What they would do is they put me in a diversion program. So the deal was like, I plead guilty to something. I do a diversion program, complete that. I never do any time. I don't care about my record. So I just keep pleading guilty, right? And I know what these cops are doing. It's fucking bullshit, man. I'm not saying they're always right or always wrong, but I can only speak for my own. I have actual, factual, false arrests, false reports, false prosecution based off evidence to where I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just being harassed. I had 5 DUI arrests where they literally cited, they could have said like alcohol on breath and they could have put slight or moderate. They put strong odor of alcohol on breath, and they didn't even take my breath anymore. They would just pull my blood, which takes 8 months to come back. Again, I'm just pleading guilty because I don't give a shit, but I rack up this record of convictions. I'm in these diversion programs, but now they're saying I can't take my medication, like I either go to prison or I can't take medication. So you take someone that's like ADHD, annoying as fuck already. I mean, I'm 37 and this energy is there. At 27, at 25, I was nuts. And they took the medication from me and I'm in front of this judge every week. And she's like, the fuck, like this dude's super annoying. Let me get to the part where it's all about authenticity and thriving on top. I get kicked out of DUI program. I get sentenced by a prosecutor that just hates me. And that's how I went from really not doing anything wrong, like, being outside of parked cars, to 18 years in prison. Now, because I had so many charges, they didn't send me to like a minimum security. I was stuck in like a maximum security prison because I had open felonies during sentencing because I had so many. So they'd sentence me on one, I'd be in prison waiting for sentencing on the other DUIs. You know what I'm saying? I'm like a nice guy, dude. Like I love people. And now I'm going to prison. I didn't have any tattoos. I'd never been in a gang. I didn't fit in at all. For most people that end up in prison, they know people there. They got homeboys. It's like, hey, what's up, dog? You know what I'm saying? They jump right into the program. They have it in their hood, in their neighborhood, I didn't know anybody. I didn't fit in. I couldn't relate. And on top of that, like these people resent people like me. Like, I'm kind of disciplined and, they didn't know my story, but still most people get beat up, stabbed, killed that are like me, unless they move into protective custody. So most people that have any kind of means go right into protective custody. For me in Nevada, in the state of Nevada and California, they racially segregate the prison. So if you're white, you're with white people, black, you're with black, Mexican. Well, I am white, but I'm Jewish. And everybody that's white in prison, like the whole thing to do is like Hail Hitler, swastikas. And it's like, I gotta fucking live with these guys. Like these are the people I gotta live with. They don't like Jews. You know what I'm saying? They don't like preppy motherfuckers like me, at all. Yet I went to the fucking top of prison. I was the person that was getting voted by the Nazis to run their yard. I did so much. I did it for one reason. I am my most authentic self. I didn't go to the top because I could beat everybody up. I went to the top because I had less weakness inside of me. I saw people die only because they didn't know who they were. They were trying to act like who they thought they should be. And like I said, every time I get fucked, every time I'm facing something crazy, I point 3 fingers at myself. And I just focus on all the things that I can do right now in this moment to start to climb. That's it. When it comes to community, it's all about adding value. So that's the first thing I did. I started to study everything I could in prison, the prison rules, their administrative regulations. I started getting other people into shape because most people in prison, they're like fucking zombies, dude. I know the movies portray like some big people like walking around like, threatening. I mean, yeah, there are people like that. But for the most part, just like out here, most people in prison, they're weak, they're scared, they're impressionable. They just want to join something bigger than them for like safety. I didn't do that though. I was smart enough to figure out if I added value and I gave these people good energy and I brought people up with me, right? That I could kind of move towards my agenda while I brought everybody along path rather than submitting to that bullshit agenda. That's what's happening in this day and age. People are submitting to the labels and categories everybody's giving them. None of that shit fucking matters. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can rise as high as you want. You just got to be yourself. You got to go inside. So that's what I did in prison as I started to just fucking build my strength, right? I mean, I'm always big on posture, working out, but I wasn't about like being better or cocky. It was about what value could I add to the people, right? And they weren't always the brightest. So by studying the prison rules, I started helping them with like riot ups or helping the whole yard with like our liberties. You know, I ran the law library. And then on top of that, I was able to help the guys with their appeals. I could help them with the stuff they had on the streets, their family issues, you know, women always trying to divorce them and whatnot. You know, there were so many ways I was able to add value, helping them beat the write-ups, helping, you know, building good relationships with the guards so that I could make sure we had our freedoms. You know, they weren't harassing us as much. When you give me a problem, when you give me pressure, man, that's probably the only time that I actually focus and do the most. I don't worry about things I can't do. It doesn't fucking matter, you know? So here I am in prison and I get Jew stars from the Aryan Brotherhood as gifts. These are all prison tattoos. Anybody that put ink on me, they're doing life and they're never going home, you know? But they got sick skills and those were the kind of gifts that I got. So I ended up writing this book, Prison to Penthouse, one time when I was in the hole. Because what was interesting to me was I had done, you know, some like investment banking and stuff before prison. And I used to be with like congressmen and successful CEOs. And I used to pay attention to things that allowed them to rise. And I noticed some of the shot callers and the leaders in prison, they did the same things to rise. And that's what this book is about. This book that I've written will show you how a complete outsider can show up to a brand new arena and rise to the top every single time. You do it with two single principles, okay? It's the strength to be real and the strength to be fearless. For me, what I had to learn was that, well, think about it like this. If a meteor was going to hit the earth, right? You had 10 minutes to live. Who are you going to call? You're going to call the people you trust the most, your parents, your woman, your man, right? It's all about trust. Relationships are based on trust. It's the single most important thing. And that's why if you're not being yourself, if you have your walls up, not making yourself vulnerable, you're not connecting. And that's what I had to learn through all these different things I've done in life. As long as you just let people know who you are and what you're about and what you stand for, they know what they're getting. And that's going to allow you to form a connection, a deep connection. You know, that's why the most funny humor is always like the real shit, you know, the things we all do, but don't really, you know, detail, but like, you know, being real is the single most important thing in building strong relationships and in going to the top. And the second thing is being fearless. And when I say fearless, I don't mean like you're afraid of nothing. What I mean is that you will not stop supporting your position no matter what. You have the strength to back your position. You have the strength to be real. Because let's be honest, being our true authentic self isn't always easy. It really is not. The way you do that is you start building your core strength, right? So that's why in my book, Prison to Penthouse, the things I talk about are like not only just like posture and building on physical strength, but like how to be more assertive, how to have like the strength to like embrace confrontations, you know, because passive is all about when you have respect for them, but not for yourself. Aggressive is when you have respect for yourself, but not for them. And assertive is a mutual respect. So it was pretty cool because when I was going in those diversion programs before prison, I was learning all these things. I went to rehab 4 freaking times, man. I'm a 4-time rehab, I'm a 5-time felon. But it doesn't fucking matter because going to prison was the single greatest investment of my entire fucking life. So not only did I learn like how to just do the most with people that were like violent and illogical and unreasonable. How do you make reason with something that's unreasonable? And they're like super fucking violent and they don't have that fear of like doing the most and putting hands on you. I mean, I watched people die. It just wasn't a big deal anymore. But like, I mean, the prison that I was at, out of the whole state, had more shootings from the guards than any other prison in America. It was fucking lit, man. Just watching people get shot. You know, it's not like you want to see it. Watching people get stabbed, watching like men hunt men. It's not like the thing I want to see. But like shit, that shit is live as fuck, man. Woo. So yeah, so anyway, prison and It was very challenging. And let's see, where was I at with being authentic, real, and strong and thriving? So I just had to learn, like, if I was my true self, I could communicate better. I could build stronger relationships. I could connect. I could grow. I could learn, right? Because that's a big thing, is everything you want in life, people already have. It's just a matter of forming those connections. The most important thing I could preach to you today is, when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to connect, you want to attract those qualities rather than seek those qualities in another. One of the things I get all the time, people are constantly asking me, hey, Jeremy, mentor me. Hey, let me do this. It's like, dude, do the most yourself. Show me that you're growing as a man. You're doing what you can, that you're embracing the qualities that you want, before you just start being thirsty and trying to be a bugaboo. And so for me, I always embraced the qualities I wanted in another, from another, and so if I wanted the greatest success from prison and knowledge, I started acquiring that stuff so that I could ask the right questions and be around the right people. I learned, case in point, I learned so much. I went in so deep after my bullshit fucking prison sentence that I should have never had to do any time on, because I was actually factually fucking innocent, that I literally hand wrote my way out of prison in just 5 years. Supposed to do 18 years. I should have done about 9. But after 3 years, I was able to get things moving. On year 5, I was released from prison. I got an order from our state Supreme Court that was so rare, the prison didn't even know how to comply with it. It took the prison 2 months to comply with this order from the courts, right, to release me. So number one, everything that you want, you already have. You just got to start applying it, right? You got to start building it and applying it, and you'll start to climb like crazy. So that's probably a great lesson, is focus on the things you can control, build those. So I eventually get out of prison, right? And like I said, even though I should have never had to go, going to prison, being in a challenging environment like that, pressure like that, was the single greatest investment of my life. Absolutely. But now I'm coming out of prison. I'm a 5-time felon. I got 5 felonies on my record, dude. I came out of prison. I was homeless. I had no money, I had no job. And that was when I decided, I really needed to get shit moving. I mean, I had nothing, to the point where I had to, when I came out of prison, I had to get a $500 voucher from social services for a rent voucher for 1 month. And I used that $500 to rent a room. And that's when I started going into the law firm. This is how I started the legal thing. Was I knew this lawyer. We weren't close, but I knew him enough the last 10 years, seeing him here and there. And I said, hey, would you mind if I used your computer, do you have a computer for me, so I could do my resume, and I could start using the internet to email it out, so I get a marketing job. I didn't have anything. I never did anything legal. It wasn't about legal back then. It was just I needed to fucking be able to send my resume out, dog, so I can get a job. After being in that law firm for 2 weeks, right, I started answering their phones, just helping them answer the calls. And it just happened so freaking fast after that. Within 4 months, right? Not only was I managing the whole office, because I just get that stuff. I just know how to build systems. But I was also bringing in the business. I knew how to market. And so now I'm adding all this value to the point where they're running my business, And from that, I'm so good at building systems that I started my own company where I did that one thing. I build systems, management and marketing systems for law firms. Now I do it with medical practices, and I do all kinds of things. But when I came out of prison, I didn't have shit. I'd fuck all. What I lacked in education, right? No degrees, I made up for in a long criminal record, and that wasn't easy. But a tunnel vision, a tunnel vision, and I connected, because that's the one thing people just want to know what they're getting. Nobody gives a fuck what you did. They don't, they only care, what can you do today? How can you help me today? And most people don't put the effort into building a strong self. They have no value to give. And that's why chapter 12 of my book, my first book, is all about, at first you got to be selfish. You can't be, everybody wants to be selfless. They want to give. You ain't got much to fucking give. You ain't got much to give. You got to be selfish so that you can build these things. Now you can start being Santa Claus and really building relationships off the value you're giving. So ways that I built community, like in prison, was, like I said, not only was I doing posture and getting these guys in shape, but I was like all about community. I was all about like, the one time we talked to the Mexicans and the blacks, I don't want it to be over like because we owe them money, like, hey, why don't we play like a white on black volleyball game or like a white on Mexican soccer game? So like we're having this healthy tension where we're like bonding, because one thing I learned, I really perfected in the legal business was like for car accidents, when the adjusters liked me, it was a lot harder for them to be a dick. Like if I just knew a little bit about them, when we're trying to settle a case, we got our numbers, they got their numbers. If I just had a little rapport, then it made it really hard for them to be a dick. I did the same thing in prison, man. A little bit of rapport went a long way. But I also, the whole point of that book, and probably another great message I could give you, is like, never be afraid to fight. I'm not saying start a fight, never start a fight. But like, man, if you want to go to the top, you have to learn to embrace confrontation. You can't let somebody check you. So the most important, here's a crazy fucking lesson for you. I'm a drug addict. I've got a long criminal record. You want to put me in rehab for drugs. And the first thing you want to teach me is how to embrace confrontations, how to have healthy confrontations. I kid you not, that was the first thing they taught us in rehab. It's weird, right? It's like, I'm trying to fix my drug problem, dog. You know what I'm saying? I won't go to prison. You want to talk to me about like how, but think about that. Most people never get the opportunity to work on themselves. Most people just the reason they're not happy is they just kind of get pushed, through life. So what my book is about, what the things I learned in rehab and prison, and what this book is all about is like, how do I take control of my path? And it starts with like being assertive and being a strong self, and then making sure that you hold people accountable to where they're supposed to be and where you're supposed to be. And that's why I say the only two things you got to master to go to the top: the strength to be real and vulnerable, and the strength to be fearless in your pursuit of your positions. So the rebrand that I've done on my business that has all my entities in it is now strongpositions.com. Don't overwhelm yourselves with it. I just finished the logos. I connected the site to my current site, jeremysigal.com. But that's the most important thing. That's how I got out of prison. That's how I'm successful in business. I started a dating company too, where I give guys strong positions in their dating profiles. If you have a strong position, you're going to put yourself in the best possible chance for success every time. And so the second book that I wrote, Breaking Up, Not Down. It's your 7-step guide to growing through a breakup, not going, growing through a breakup. How do you make a breakup the best thing that ever happened to you, right? And so it's the same exact message. It's the same thing Abram was talking about. Once you finally have the strength to be yourself, to win as you are, you're going to go to the top every single time. And so what I encourage you to do is like, stop worrying about other people. Stop worrying about labels. They don't fucking matter. I'd much rather have any of the labels you guys talk about on the news than like, oh, a 5-time felon, he's a criminal. That's the shittiest fucking label. You want to talk about pulling labels? Pull that motherfucker, because that shit is hurtful. When people know you're a criminal, like the first thing that goes to them is like, they don't trust you. You're some like, Weasley person. Like, that's a horrible fucking label. And still look what I've done. I've done the most with my background, and I've done things that I should have never been able to do. For example, I come out of prison. I killed in the legal business. I started killing in the medical business. But like, I'm a 5-time felon living in the wealthiest community in Las Vegas, the wealthiest zip code. We have I got Shaka unit here. We have ambassadors. We have the guy that manages the National Nuclear Security Administration, Jeff, right? I've been taking him out. I try to get him drunk to get information out of him. I got some stuff, but like nothing that'll overwhelm me, But what am I doing right? Because these people of their community elected me to run their $5 million bank account. I'm the fucking president of Turnberry fucking Towers, right? I control the bank account. I make the decisions for everybody. I'm the one you come in front of when you fuck up in the building. What? I'm the one that's on parole with $5, and you elect me to judge you? Because nobody fucking cares about labels. They don't. They only care about who you are as a man and what you can do for them today and tomorrow. So when your mission is to rise, go in first. Just start looking at yourself and start acquiring the information. Chapter 13 of my book is Thriving by the Rules. All the things you want, people already have around you. So you've got to learn to make connections. You've got to learn how to get information. And so the one thing that I notice a lot of people say is like, it's all about who you know and connections. And yes, you do need to know people, but at the end of the day, you don't want to just know people. What you want is what Abram is talking about when he says community and authenticity. You want to be able to form deep, family deep connections. You want brothers. And when you have a lot of brothers willing to fight and die for you, life becomes fucking effortless. But you're never going to be able to have a deep relationship if you don't have a deep relationship with yourself first. If you don't really know yourself, if you're not being honest with yourself and things that you're in control and things that you can work and grow and build so that you can now be an asset to those people around you, you're never going to make the deep connections, because being authentic comes with trusting yourself well before somebody else is going to trust you. So I encourage you to do that. If you guys want to text the word throttle up to 22828, what I'll do is it will auto respond. And I just set this up today, but it will auto respond with part 1 of Prison to Penthouse. You just click the link and it's going to automatically give you that PDF. The Prison to Penthouse book, it's a sick fucking book, man. But it's all my personal information. It's all things that I have done that I duplicate in different arenas. But part 1 is all about when you're new and you're trying to grow. It's all about fighting yourself. You want to fight the urge to be you, all the ego and the bad habits you bring into things that keep you where you're at. And so it's one of the most important things I've ever written, part 1 in that book. If you text, like I said, throttle up to 22828, it's going to auto send you that. And I'd love to keep you guys informed on tips and the things that I'm working on, because I've really got great strategy and efficiency in getting you to the top and putting you in the best possible position for success in so many different arenas. So, Abram, with that, what else can I tell you guys? What do you want to know?
Thank you, Jeremy, for sharing all that. There's so many nuggets in there, and I just appreciate you sharing your story of redemption. And it's there's so many nuggets that I got, and I'll just point out a few that really stood out to me. One is like, it seems like you discovered your freedom in prison. Yeah, and that's such a powerful. I hear that story in a lot of different ways and places, because a lot of people that have these redemption stories of discovering themselves and their own power, their own fearlessness in prison, is they discovered that they've been in prison outside of the jail cell. Yeah. And I would love to hear your experience of that, because I feel like you found freedom behind bars. And I think that's such a powerful experience I can't even imagine what that's like, but I feel like that sounds like that's what you did. What I also heard you share is, you found the way to the top by going to the bottom. By being at the bottom.
One thing I noticed about freedom in prison was, just because I was always elected by the inmates to run shit. I was the guy that if the air conditioners didn't work for another day, the whole prison was going to do a riot, right? And I'd be the guy that had to go be put in charge to go talk to the warden to negotiate this truce of dog, you can't just get the fucking part, or at least give these guys a tracking shipment date so they know what's in the process. You know what I'm saying? That was my job. But what I noticed, and I had to interact with these cops a lot, was I was more free than they were. They were just like most people in life. They're just on this routine, and they're not really owning anything. And here I am in prison, more free than everybody I can even deal with, And the reason is because, again, I went inside. I only focused on things that I could build and grow and where I was going in life. I worked on it every day, and I smiled a lot, man. Chapter 23 of my book is called Amazing Fruit Cocktail, right? So I was in a maximum security prison, man. I mean, and it is the biggest prison in Nevada. So I know at smaller yards, it's not as bad of treatment. It's not as bad of amenities. The food's decent, But when you get to a big facility, it's not. It's it's all about profit for them, and the food was horrible, right? But if you sat at my table, the one thing you always heard me do, which I didn't really pay attention to at first, but I always had something good to say about the food. It didn't matter if it was pancakes more. I'd be oh, these pancakes are so soft, or, But one day, the food, it was always fake meat and shit. But one day, the food really, it sucked. It really was bad. But I remember saying, oh man, that fruit cocktail is amazing, Because to me, it was, But everyone started laughing damn, GQ, you fucking find something great to say about every meal. And I'm like, actually, yeah, it's a matter, it's how you see it. And that's what I've noticed is the way you see the problem is the problem. So absolutely, man. I ever since prison, I definitely I have every day's easy, man. Like I'm so grateful for every moment, all these little things, I never, a moment never passes and I'm just not fucking happy and grateful and in control because I know how to fight and I'm not afraid of it. I will go down the path and seeking the things that I'm not supposed to have in life, and I'm fearless in that pursuit. I don't care. You guys tell me it can't be done. 1,000. I mean, how did I got out of prison, dude? I couldn't hire a law firm to do this one thing because I was just so deep in it, to the point that when I filed my own things and actually won, lawyers were like, "Would you come work for us?" I'm like, "No, I don't really like doing all that case law research, But yeah, so I think it's a matter of being in control of your path that allows you to just be present and be free. And that's probably one of the things women tell me that's so attractive is like, I'm fucking present, I'm there. And that is from having strength and having your fucking walls down, dude. We're about to be fucking dead, man. And while I'm here, I'm going to fucking live and I'm going to grow and I'm going to empower everybody around me because I fucking love people. So.
I love it. I love it. There's so much in what you said. And I mean, again, it like really stands out. And but what I hear is like, you've discovered for yourself, and then you're sharing with all of us is like this recipe to leap into a chaotic situation or just to be surrounded by chaos and to just eat it for breakfast and create order and to create, it's like for me, it's very much a spiritual practice to me, how I hear it. And it's like whenever there's a struggle, whenever there's an obstacle like that, it's like go time because that's when you actually step into it, to be fearless and to be vulnerable in the face of that. It's actually what's an obstacle is all of a sudden an opportunity.
Yeah. Let me actually, because so I'm working on a new book, right? And it's called Thank You, May I Have Another, which is funny because it's in the dedication of all my books, but where I welcome hardship, right? And we're talking about fighting. I don't mean physical fighting. I mean just fighting for position, right? But in prison, I was the guy that had to fight all the biggest people. That was just, and it wasn't that I was being bullied. I mean, to be honest, I've seen horrible things happen to people all the time, bullied, raped, killed, all that stuff. But I was never any of those things. I was never bullied. I was never raped. I was never really even disrespected for the most part. I had a lot of people that were jealous because I had so much action and control of the prison. But the main thing I want to say is like, I was the guy who had to fight the biggest dudes, right? And, I grew up with a twin brother and, 5 brothers total. I'm just used to fighting. I wrestled, in high school once I healed from that car accident. And what I will say to you is this, because it's really relatable to like all challenges. And like, it doesn't matter if I'm going to talk to a pretty girl or if I have to fight the biggest dude or if I'm going in for a job interview. I am fucking nervous as shit every time. I'm nervous as shit every time, but I fucking go. I show up to that fight. I put my fucking hands up. I give it everything I got. I one time I had to fight the biggest. It was a white on black, and I had to fight the biggest black dude, and he had a 450-pound bench. There's no reason he needed a weapon, but he felt he needed a weapon. He came at me with this not a shank, but with like a metal pipe that had been sharpened, and it was kind of blindsided me and tried to kill me with it. I had a scar. I actually lifted I was on. He was trying to come down, and I lifted my leg just to block to live. But I got into so many fights. I had a white cellie that he had 3 life sentences. He was never going home. He would just have bad days. You know what I'm saying? And I remember he just pulls this fucking knife out on me. And it was a small blade. So I told him, I said, "Dog, don't ever do that again. Like seriously, And then he, but it was constant. I was the guy that was in the middle of all these fights. And every single time I was like, that's a challenge and a half, dog. But I fucking show up, And that's the most important thing is like when you're going after your battles in life, I don't care if it's the job or the girl, I get so many women because I put myself out there, But the point is like every single time I go to approach a woman, I'm fucking nervous. My anxiety just hits me, but I keep going. And that's the point is like when you like you're saying, Abram, when you learn to take comfort in chaos, when you learn to just own those moments and just fucking go for it, you will get better and better. It's like the first time driving, right? You're probably nervous and swerving and you suck. You might still suck at driving, but you're not that bad, and that's how it is with everything. It's repetition. So I encourage you to embrace your challenges because, like I said, you start pointing three fingers at yourself, you start fucking rising. You start worrying about the things you can control, things you can grow and build. You're going to go to the fucking top every single time. You start learning how to be your true authentic self with other people and trust yourself and be honest with them and like own that humor and that depth of a connection. And you're going to build deep relationships that will allow you to grow and thrive. When you start learning how to be assertive and if something's a real problem, it's not about being a dick, but it's like, Doc, I love you, homie. Like, since we're brothers, like, that's not really going to be a working relationship for me. So when you learn to be assertive in your relationships at work, romantically with your family. I mean, God, I've had to be so assertive with my family because my whole life has been such a pessimist, always telling me what I can't do. I grew up with a twin brother. He did graduate college, got a job with finance from Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got kicked out of college. So my whole life I was told I can't do these things. And why can't you be more like him? And it just beat me the fuck down. Before I just had to stop listening to all that shit to where now my family knows, don't fucking call me with bullshit. If you're going to fucking engage me, keep it here because this is where I'm at. Being assertive, right? And when you start to have healthy relationships, now they become an asset. Relationships shouldn't be draining you. You know what I'm saying? If somebody's a drain, empower them. Figure out how you can fix it, how you can add value to them. And if they can't do that, then you got no business you're having them bring you down, right? And that's why I say in the Breakup book, I'm like, these breakups, either they failed to bring you up or you failed to climb up with them. Both of those are controllable. So I'm sure I'm way off topic, Abrams. I don't know how I started. It's called ADHD, guys. I never stop thinking.
Well, there's so much in what you said. One thing that what I find interesting is like kind of like the road for me. Like I'm very much committed to peace, but a big breakthrough towards that end is I discovered, in my own. What you're talking about being ready for. I love you said like you don't start a fight, but be ready to. And it's like for me, it's like one of the biggest breakthroughs I had in, towards my value of peace and inner peace and giving access to myself and others is the road to peace is paved with conflict. Peace is not the same thing as avoiding conflict, and it's like for me, it's like what that means is like. It's like you could be surrounded by chaos and still be at peace. And it's like, it is bringing that peace to an external chaos. And it's like, and I see that process is like kind of what you're describing. It's like whatever you're committed to.
That's actually a really good point. And I would sum it up with this one thing, which is, what's the best way to say it? Life. The people in life, they're going to be constantly testing you. It doesn't matter if you're at work, or romantically or family. People are testing you. You're fucking jousting already. If you're unwilling to fucking joust back, you've already lost. And that's why it's all about the willingness to go the distance is what keeps you out of chaos. The willingness to fight will keep you out of fights. Just like the Cold War, Russia and America. We never acted the nuclear thing. We just constantly were flexing. But God forbid one person was being weak, and unwilling. Fuck, the other person wins. You just got to be ready to fight. And that's why I'll read you the very last words of the book because they're worth it. It says, do not ever start a fight, but I hope you have the strength to finish every single one in your way. It's the willingness to fight, the willingness to preparedness of being a strong self, having your core strength, having your strong relationships. I mean, I didn't go to the top of prison and survive because I could beat everybody up. I had a fucking circle around me, dog. I was with all the heads of state, the top fucking Aaron brothers, top of the Mexican mafia, the top Crips and Bloods. Like they all loved me. I'm like a real gangster. You know what I'm saying? Everyone called me GQ in prison just because I got into so many fights. And I always came out of fights like usually a little bit bloody. It's usually my own blood. My nose bleeds in wrestling. But didn't matter how bloody I was. My hair was always perfect. So they always thought that was funny. That's why they called me GQ. And they would be like, GQ, you crazy as a motherfucker. because I am. Like, what they mean is like, in prison, everybody's scared of these big thugs, you know what I'm saying? These big dudes, these crazy dudes, you know? And those are the guys saying that I'm crazy because I'm so willing to fucking take things wherever the fuck they have to go. That's the whole point. If you put the time into yourself, if you grow and build and you're capable of adding value and having strength and being your true authentic self, right? Really knowing yourself and having that fearlessness to support your positions, you're not going to have to fight. And when you say conflict, it may not be like this, but conflict is like being assertive in confrontations. You have to get comfortable letting people know where you're at and where they're supposed to be if they want that relationship with you, you know? And so that's a big part of my book. I talk about how to embrace those confrontations so that you can grow and build, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you put it so succinctly in it, but it's like, you know, don't start a fight, but be willing to finish it. And it's like, and it's ironic because when you're ready, I mean, this applies for every. It's not only just a physical fight. It's an emotional battle. It's a spiritual battle. It's a psychological battle. And it's like when we can recognize, you know, in the present moment, you know, when we have the strength to be vulnerable, when we have the strength to be powerful in the face of fear, it's like knowing our powerlessness gives us power. It's like what do you say? Like go within. And it's like knowing that it's like being standing in who you are as your word and as your principles, and as your values, and being that, and not letting anyone tell you differently. And it's like it's power, because what you're describing is like a foundation based on just being complete and full in your own self.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, I mean, I could really take a lot of what your lessons are, because a lot of my lessons and that even brought me here was my fear of what other people would think of me, and how that held me back is, you know, I would create this persona of being a nice guy, or just to get hoping people would like me and accept me, but afraid to be myself, and to myself, but also to others. And the impact was just all over my life, where I just was afraid to talk to girls. I was afraid to share myself and my opinions, my values, my principles. And it was just like, I was at the effect of the chaos, as opposed to cause in the order, and the cause and like in my own vulnerable, authentic power.
Yeah.
There's that's where when I can stand there, that's what gives me that's what allows me to impact others. It's like what you're pointing to in the beginning is just like, I can give value to anybody now because I see myself and I see them, and there's no bullshit with myself and with them. I'm not selling somebody something. I'm giving them love that is in me, even if it's something they don't want to hear, or even if it's something that might be hard to hear, or something that's
like I talk about in the book. Man, you have so much great information too. Shit, because you really just made me think. I'm like, you know, the two things about embracing your challenges is like, it's two components. It's like, number one, being prepared, you know, having that strength, knowing yourself and being strong. But then also the next one is like the willingness to fight, you know, because you can have all these gifts, but if you're not like ready to fucking implement and do something with it. And so whatever it is you're going through in life, like those, being prepared and being willing, you know, and then what the heck were you just saying, dude? It was good. I was going to touch on it. But anyways, you're recording this, right? I can watch it later, so I can listen to what you're. Okay, sweet.
Oh yeah.
Don't get mad if I quote some of your shit into my next book. All right.
Hey, please, dude. Please do. I really appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your insight, and, you know, just like your story of triumph is like, you know, it's like I love it, from prison to penthouse. Like you flipped it upside down. You went to the top by going to the bottom, and it's like, and that there's humility in that, and there's power in that, and it's like to experience your full power, it took you go facing the weakest parts of yourself and wearing them on your sleeve. And it's like, and that's power. It's like, here's how weak I've been. Here's what I've done. Here's where I failed. Here's where I failed. Here's where I've struggled. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've not done. And it's like, and this is who I am. And you can't take anything. It's like you're presenting the quote enemy with the kryptonite and showing them that it has no impact on you. It's like, yeah, well, here's my weaknesses.
That shit makes man. I kid you not. Like, this next book is called "Thank You May I Have Another: Embracing Adversity," right? But it says the tagline: 10 steps to fortune through misfortune. Because one thing I learned in prison, right, and rehab and all that stuff, you know, I had this counselor, and she's like, you know, Jeremy, you know, a lot of people don't realize this, but everybody's fucked up. You know, it's just most people don't get called out on it and forced to change. And it's so true, because I look at my parents, right, and like, they never had to go to jail, right? They never like really been in trouble, but like, they're not really all there. They don't really know themselves. They're unhappy, right? And it's like, dude, the challenges are what will make you your single greatest self, to take you to the highest levels you could ever freaking imagine. So don't worry about labels and complaints and blaming. That you are empowering that when you do it. So if you just say, okay, this is what I'm being fucking dealt with, the fucking things I can do right now, I'm tunnel vision, bam, bam, bam. You start going, learning, connecting, you know what I'm saying? Being yourself. That's a real big one though, man. When you have the strength to like put your guard down and really be yourself with people, right? And you're working on enthusiasm. That's chapter 9 of my book. It's connecting with enthusiasm. You know what I'm saying? I get excited about people and all these ways you can form deep relationships, and you can have the strength to let your guard down. When you have deep relationships, I call them family deep connections. It's like, you can't choose your family. I wish I could. I can't, you know, but you can choose your friends. And fuck, I've got some amazing friends. The only thing I care about people is like authenticity. Like, I really know who I'm getting. And then like just happiness. Like, I can't hang out with people that are like needy and unhappy. It drains me. You know, most of my friends are fucking wealthy. You're not like most of my friends, but just I've noticed a lot of my best friends are super wealthy. What they like about me, I don't have the resources they have, but like, I challenge them. Because once you become successful, people stop challenging. They just want to be near you. But I don't give a shit, dog. If you're fat, you got high anxiety, we're going to fucking work on that. So I've been giving like some of my successful like 8-minute workouts, you know what I'm saying? And I'm always like ripping on them, you know, because guys just want to fucking talk shit. But that's the thing, is like, just be authentic, add value, connect, empower each other. It's that simple. You'll go to the fucking top every time, you know?
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing your story, your insight, your wisdom. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you for being here. It's been I would love to have you back again soon and share more of your insight, especially when you release that next book. But just really thank you. I really honor you, and I'm really grateful just to have your voice and your sharing your story. It's, you know, there's really a lot of people who I'm sure will get a lot of value out of what you've been through, and how it's like how when we can see that when we're feeling at the bottom, that's really our opportunity to go to the top.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is like, I get on the app Clubhouse, people are asking me to talk and whatnot. I notice everybody wants to go deep on like mindset and like where these problems come from and all. And like, look, I get that. Like, you know, there's value in that. But let me ask you this. Why are you trying to do the absolute most when there is so many ways you're not even doing the least right now? You know, like drinking enough water, fixing your posture, being more assertive, learning how to use all these things I talk about in my book, To Grow and Climb, right? You just start doing those, you will fucking grind. And so please, like, I hope you take me up on the opportunity to grab part 1 of the book. I'll give the whole fucking book if you want. I don't care. Honestly, it is kind of a bigger book, so I had to break into 3 parts. Get that book. Check it out. It's free. I'm going to send it to you, and start to look at some of the things that I do every single arena. Medical, legal, I'm on the board of directors here at prison. It doesn't fucking matter. Dating, it works everywhere. I hope you get to enjoy it.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for sharing everything. And I'm going to say thank you to all at home watching with us. And I want to take a moment real quick to invite you to share your story on the stage. You know, you and your experience of what you've overcome in your life, what you faced, what's knocked you down, only to allow you to stand up stronger. Like, we want to hear your story. We want to hear your wisdom, because it honestly and truthfully and fully, what you've been through and what you've overcome is the access for others to experience and do the same. And it's like your power that you've discovered in your weakness, or through your weakness, is what gives the courage for others to rise up through their weaknesses and to what's holding them back and their barriers. And it's ultimately what our mission is, that we're rising together when we can all stand above where we've been knocked down and really see and hold the space for who we truly are, our authentic self. And our mission here at One Day is bringing you and me and communities together in joyous celebration, unifying humanity in our diversity to create a better world for us all. And our vision is humanity rising in a connected world with each person's unique gifts, contributions, and genius being valued and magnified through a higher level of collaboration, producing unprecedented new realms of possibility. Thank you all for joining us, and thanks again to Jeremy Sigal for being our guest. Thank you all. I love you all. Be safe, be well. We'll see you on Thursday. And as always, one day is today. Peace, everybody.